Okay.
Yes, okay. Closed session item 7A.
That's good, Karen.
It's nice up there. Okay, this is hiring, resident retiring. Track field coach and stipend, Cherie Hoffler, Pretty Valley new hire, junior class advisor stipend, Leslie Nelson, Upa High new hire, ground supervisor classified Casey Hostler, Pretty Valley, food specialist 1 classified Casey Hostler, resignation, sorry guys. Okay, math teacher certificated, Upa High, resignation, kindergarten first grade certificated, Orleans, retire, 7th and 8th grade English teacher certificated, Cooper Elementary, resignation, Indian education course classified, Jordy Coco A3, district-wide new hire, custodian classified, Chile Bailey, district-wide new hire, assistant principal certificate management, Teresa Mondra, John, and assistant student services, certificate management, Cooper Elementary. Sorry, I said. And the motion was approved anonymously, unanimously. And item 7B, public employee, that was nothing to report out. Item 7C, nothing to report out, and item 7D, nothing to report out. Okay, 10, consent agenda. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda with on the section of the approval of the minutes with edits.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Need no opposition, that passes. 11, action items. 11A, Orleans Elementary, Blackball, how do you say that, Karen?
I believe it's Blackball.
Okay, giving fund approval request to award grant funds in the amount of $850. Do I have a motion?
What is it about? Did you put that in your report? What's it all about?
Yeah.
Okay. I make a motion.
I quickly looked at it and it's really cool for new equipment for the PGP and for the guys.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
That's second.
Second.
Who made the motion? I'm sorry.
Debbie.
And we have any discussion on that item?
I have a question. Where is that money coming from? Is that site company?
No, it's a grant, it's an award
Oh, okay.
Coming from that person.
from the Black.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. B, selection of a candidate for the 2023 California School Boards Association CSBA Delegate Assembly Runoff Elections.
Who is the person that's in that position now?
This is one that I was somewhat puzzled by.
You guys did it last year.
We did.
Okay, and I remember you guys doing it and you looked at it and you voted with someone that's something new.
Okay, that was, okay, because, yeah, I was puzzled and I was thinking this was something, this was where we sent Paige, which is an interesting.
No, that's this is PMTA.
Oh, TNT.
Based on wrong there, that was.
Excuse me, Carney. I didn't hear you.
You would take a vote on the three or one of the three individuals that's listed, and Mr. MacArthur is already speaking incumbent right now. However, there's two other individuals, and we take that vote. This kind of discussion.
Yeah, do we have a list of those names or?
Yeah.
Oh, because I'm not seeing it.
It's on page 212, starts at 210. And then the names are on page 212.
Do we have to do this? No.
It's 200 first.
I'll scan through it, but I didn't get it.
Which is really strange because I did.
But there's not a game, I feel a little bit uncomfortable voting for the incumbent. Just because he's the incumbent without knowing anything about.
Yeah, they didn't give you a rate, they gave you a information, I guess they know.
Can we take? So we have a chance to.
It had to be by a certain date, doesn't it? Oh, May 1st, that's not bad, we have time, but I would say, I think Joanne Moore. More, if that's true, that's.
It's probably not.
You don't think it's a lady?
Not, but you know.
It's not that it is.
Can we ask for
You know, she's. She lives on a killing bell. No, she is. We're not gonna do it. You just.
Yeah.
I think we have to give them the time. You know, we can down more. Well, I don't manage to get out of down.
Oh, should we
There,
say-
so.
Should we just say no action?
What was it?
We're gonna take no action and refer it to the superintendent for recommendation. And then we'll do this, I'll have to do a straw vote.
11C, requesting approval to adopt TK math curriculum, Envision Mathematics Common Core, published by Solace Learning at cost of $119,880. Never mind, $119,881.88. And
Is this something we've already been having in our district, or is it something new?
it's new.
It's like.
So
Why do we think it's better than what we have? Is that what we're trying to do?
What we have is so old, it's out of print and it's not aligned with the standards anymore.
They also piloted it for a whole year, or this whole school year. They piloted it, right? They piloted it for like with like, I think 15 teachers.
Well, yeah, 20 total teachers, 5 of them kind of dropped out partway through, but yes.
And the teachers want it, or they don't?
Well, that's what the survey, I put it all in there. I gave a background of where the whole process.
And then just for Orleans, or that's?
No, it didn't apply.
Okay.
I was just kind of giving adjunct responsibility and helping to lead the pilot. That's what I was asked to do.
You like it?
I do because I've seen the teachers here at Orleans using it with a lot of success, and I've seen students learning. And so that's why I like this.
Okay.
Was there, for the ones who were opposed, were they suggesting another program?
They didn't have another program. There were 3 teachers who were in the pilot that voted to not adopt it, as you can see. And they were mostly, they were mostly teaching younger grades. They did not fully implement it in their room. You could argue that's because they realized or decided that it wasn't a good fit, so they didn't fully try to keep it. And they've been very vocal that they don't like it. I just followed the process of the pilot, and when I saw that the majority of the teachers did like it, I tried to build consensus. We worked closely with Dr. Shannon Brago from the Hudson County Office of Education. She's the spring mathematics specialist. And she came out and worked with teachers who were having struggles with it, and went into their classrooms and taught some lessons with them. And a lot of those teachers then changed their mind she was not able to get into the rooms and the teachers that still did not like it.
They didn't go out and look for another program.
No, there's not another program right now.
Because that's the one that they took away, right? Didn't they take all the books and everything out of the last one, and this is supposed to replace that?
Well, with any adoption, no, we haven't taken any books out yet.
I think that was the read, oh, the read.
Make the reading for them. So what we had, it's okay if I just.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell me what you have.
Yes.
What we have, 6th through 8th grade had an adopted math curriculum. They got really great marks, but it was super hard to implement, for many reasons. Then we had, I think 4th through 6th, piloting, or not piloting, but they had a different curriculum completely. And then we had K3 that had a different, so we had 3 different math curriculum. K3 out of print. So when it came time for Williams this year, it's like you can't even get the books because they're out of print, it's so old. And our math scores district-wide are terrible. So it was like, okay, we need to adopt. To be Williams compliant and for our children, we need to adopt something new. And so a group of us got together this summer. I had a list of things to do, and so I sent out to all the teachers who would like to pilot. A group of teachers responded. Fewer of those teachers got together. We had a few meetings this summer, looked at different curriculum to pilot, chose one, got the materials, piloted it, and you see that the results of the survey and what people thought. So I think it's a strong curriculum. Is it the very best that is out there? Probably not, honestly. At this point, because the other thing that I was told all over and over again from the county office is the perfect curriculum does not exist, you know, and it's you're teaching the math standards. Teachers are teachers of the math standards, and this is a tool that they can use to teach those math standards. So I'm hoping that it can be an effective tool. I did see it work really well at this site. I think that moving forward, and you see this in my comments, we will need to support the teachers in implementing this curriculum with PD, with support from the county office, with it, you know, it's asking teachers to teach in a way where kids are discussing math. It's not, here's your worksheet, fill it out. It's like, we're gonna have some discussions in math. Yes, even in 1st grade, and this is what it can look like. And that's the way the math movement is going. And so we're going to need to, as a district, support our teachers, and knowing that a lot of them are, well, not a lot of them, 3 of them who have been vocal about not being happy about this curriculum will need to be supported next year by their principal and by the district.
And why would they not have, but why, so the 3 that didn't like it, what was their reason?
The reasons that they shared with me was that they felt like kids could not work independently on it, and that the reading level was too high for their leaders in their rooms.
I have to agree with what she's saying about the reading level. We have very poor readers at Hoopa Elementary, and with giving them a new math curriculum, that's how different was that this curriculum from the one that they were using that's outdated now. Is it going to be a whole different style of learning that they'd have to struggle to get into this new curriculum with, and then having their reading a problem, and how, and then another question I always ask is, with this curriculum that you're talking about, when they designed this curriculum, did they design it and did they run it through different nationalities of children? Or did they just design the curriculum and then just threw it out there to sell? Or did they design it for Native Americans, you know, and all of the above? or what was it, this, what, you know, how is our, because we have a big population of Native Americans. How are our Native American students gonna adapt to this new curriculum? That because there's not another one there right now, so we can just skip this one? We can't keep doing that. Our kids are behind. And if the reading, if these three teachers are saying that it would be hard for them because of the reading of the problems, then how are they going to be successful?
But if we haven't been, if our curriculum is so old that it's out of print, we haven't been changing. So what, and,
I just have a really quick comment, Karen, you said STEM, can you remind me what STEM stands for?
Science, technology, engineering, and math.
And I think that it's a really good point, Ms. Donna, what you said about applying it to Native Americans in our 83% Native American population here at KTJUSD. And I'm just wondering, you know, how could we combine STEM and say, hey, we're just Native appropriated in the school.
Yeah.
The these who are Native students and non-Native students alike. Because what, 83? Yeah, a percentage that has non-native, but they're in our area and we appreciate them and we want them to know what's.
When Dr. Morado came out from the county office to do some example lessons in younger classrooms, younger grade classrooms, for example, she came here in the kindergarten one. There is a, like, as part of the curriculum, as a resource for English language learners, so that the reading is not as necessary. She adapted some of those pieces in the lesson.
And so again, one of my biggest concerns is when you say we're going to have to support or help these teachers implement this program.
Well,
When we don't even, we can't even have any help in the classroom for anything where we stand right now. So how are we going to, where are these people that we're gonna find that's gonna go into these classrooms and help these teachers when we can't even, we don't even have an aide or whatever?
I'm not talking about support staff, I'm talking about professional development. And I think that's gonna be needed with whatever math we adopt. Whatever math we adopt, we're gonna need some professional development on how to implement.
So we can look at with our impact aid report in our math right now, then I would say for the board to look at where we're at right now and revisit this program. If you guys are going to decide on buying into this program on our next school year to see if our math, you know, with our students and their math has came up, or if they just got worse. That's what we need to start looking. We need to have benchmark to look at to see if our kids are learning instead of just throwing something out there and they're not learning anything. They're not being prepared. Our elementary is not being prepared for high school. Our high school's not being prepared for our colleges. And we need to start really following these things that we buy into.
Yes, I did. Thank you, Madam President. I have this long, same kind of concern and I just don't want to see, because we already have an issue with the non-readers. That's problem number one. It's going into a whole new curriculum. If we go into a whole new curriculum, then students all got to change up and learn a new curriculum. And I don't want my son to be the one that's the first guinea pig. And then we say, oh, well, he really missed out on all that math stuff because they just got a new curriculum right here. You know, that happens a lot, that kind of thing. So I'm worried about the transition into any new curriculum. And I'm wondering if, you know, because like for the reading program, we've had coaches for the reading. Can we have coaches possibly for the math, or somehow bring that level up? Because we've got to address the reading, we've got to address the transition. Otherwise, our kids are not going to learn the new curriculum. And we're gonna have a whole year at least that don't progress. And, you know, and that's my worry, because, you know, it's like we're like 99% of our native kids are below proficient in math throughout the whole district. You know, that's frightening. And then we're talking about having to get a new curriculum, and I think that we have to be very careful with the transition. And I of course didn't do the work you did. I really appreciate all that work with summer and everything. And I'm really glad you have. But I do think we need to address the issues with the teachers that didn't like it for those reasons, because that really needs to be addressed. And then I don't know if there's any other curriculums that are more in line with what we've used before that might make the transition easier also.
And I didn't mean to make it sound like it's gonna be this whole new completely different thing. I apologize if that's the way that came up. Yeah, because it's really not drastically different from how we've been teaching math. But it does assume that there is a level of discourse that's happening where kids are talking about the math and explaining, kind of like what we're doing in our reading program, that we've had really great results, think, pair, share, you know, where it's like, we get together, well, how did you do this problem? Well, this is how I did it, and this is why, and justifying the reasoning, because that's, teachers know that when you are teaching, that's when you're really learning it, right? Like, I didn't learn that till I was teaching up at Junction, and I had to learn it all to teach the Junction kids at the 8th grade, right? So, being able to explain your thinking really helps you to understand it. And so there's that little piece that is possibly a shift. But it's a shift in the right direction.
Well, and I think part of your point is 99% of our kids that were at L. Well, yeah. So what we are doing right now is not working. We have to change things that aren't working. By research, a lot of research. Yeah, 2009.
Yeah.
That's our last curriculum.
I have some extra samples in my office if anybody's interested. What's that?
I've already seen it. I can't believe it. I'm like,
Okay. Would you like me to go grab a couple?
I'm good. My only question was, has this been brought to one of the IPP task force?
Yeah, no.
yes, okay.
Well, there's the results there. They liked it. Or they
It's
didn't.
never been, it really
Didn't
didn't.
make it to a meeting.
So, well, it did.
No,
I
it
was
didn't.
I was not able to be there, but it was on the agenda, and I gave Erica all the information about it, and she said that you guys discussed it, and that, and right after that, we had the materials available for view at the different school sites. And
I remember that.
I let everybody know, and there were rubrics to look at with the books, so.
A year ago, right? That you're talking about.
It wasn't a year ago, it was earlier this week.
Earlier this.
Yeah.
I didn't have.
I don't remember.
Yeah, you were at that meeting and I wasn't.
We've never seen it.
I haven't, I don't. So there's certainly one done.
But so Erica said it out.
Yeah,
She told.
She said it.
She said she gave it to the.
She said it was discussed.
So do you guys keep your agendas?
Yes,
I know, but somebody that.
very detailed agendas and minutes. And who was in attendance and what is on the agenda. And I guarantee you the last 3 to 4 meetings this was.
No, she said earlier this.
When I had it in last
No,
year.
that's what I'm saying, any IPP meeting that happened since January 11th, 2022, it hasn't been on our agenda.
That's it.
So we haven't approved this.
So these books should have came to Indian Policy Procedures and for us to view, right?
So we had a big public viewing of them at every school site. I believe it was January 25th. And that was sharing.
I had a site council discussion that had that, I was hoping that teachers were going to during that week of parent teacher conferences. Go
Yes,
with their
that's important.
parents, but a lot of parents didn't have parent teacher conferences either. If your student is doing well, they don't.
Well, this.
Have a comment?
Point of information, I guess, Carol, there's so much.
She just goes.
I believe I heard you say that these, the tech, in use are no longer in print and no longer the online standards. Dang, what didn't sound like an option? If we're gonna say we're doing standard one.
We don't have an option.
Well, staying put doesn't sound like it, if they're not up to standard.
Right.
You can't say you're standard. You can give that up, you can say, hey, we're teaching the same book. Here's class.
I just don't think that's what we're saying at all. We're discussing how the first one. We're not saying.
Back on, you guys, we're having so much fun.
We're talking about.
Do I have a motion?
Okay, you were saying,
I was just wanting to confirm, is this something that they're out of standard now, that we can't get new replacements? Is that?
We cannot get new replacements for K3.
Right.
And the old Envision, so we did have the old Envision, this is a newer Envision, but it's from a different company now. The old Envision was 4.6. Did not get good marks on ed reports. This did, we've got green for everything on ed reports. And
Donna, because it does.
one of the reasons that we chose to pilot this
primary.
one.
Looks like it was.
One of the reasons that the team chose to pilot this was because it seemed like it would be a good fit for all of our teachers because there's so many options. If you're a teacher that likes to be fully digital, you could do this curriculum fully digital. If you're a teacher that likes to be fully print, you could do it fully print. If you want to do print with some slideshow stuff going on up here, you can do that. And then there's stuff that we didn't even get into where you can walk around and take a picture of what the kids are doing and it automatically goes up there on your board so you can share work and talk about it. So there was lots, it seemed like there were lots of tools to choose from. I think as a teacher, it might be a little overwhelming, like, do I have to do it all? And so that was part of like the hurdle we had to get over was do not feel like as a teacher, you have to use all of the tools. There are many tools to choose from. You're the teacher. Teach it the way that works for you.
Okay, so the next question I have about it is, and I think you said this. I have to trust our educators to know what they're teaching. Do most of our teachers that this will be affected by like this and think this is a good change?
So the survey results of what you have.
Okay, that's
What page is that on? Did you have that?
Well, it sounds like, so I always say, I mean, if you're only talking, if you only got a survey of 20 people and only 3 are not doing it, that sounds like the survey is showing still that there's the majority of what she got from
okay.
the ones that volunteered in this survey.
Yeah, 20 teachers at this school.
Yeah, it sounds like the survey.
Well, 15 of 20 took the survey.
Okay.
Like 5 people had all answered. And the survey was anonymous, so I don't know.
Was there a variety of school sites?
All the school sites,
Because who by all has the most students, who do you have more teachers that are involved with this?
they had, I have to look at my list, they had a lot of.
Okay.
Yeah.
But only K-8.
This is only for K. This is K-8. Have you done?
You know, I agree, we have to, you know, that we need to move forward. But for me, it's more about choosing the curriculum is making sure we implement it in a way that we have a smooth transition. That's what I'm saying. And I gotta say from where we are right now, we can really only go up, right?
So, but that's where my main concern is, and I would, just for me, because I want to include everyone, I would like to know that, you know, that all the teachers in these grade levels were at least willing to try it, we're on board, have seen it, not just the pilot program teachers, you know, I mean, but if we're, I mean, I'm not opposed to it is what I'm saying. I just feel like we do need to make sure we keep an eye on the implementation and the transition. And I'd like to know that we have buy-in from all, you know, all or most of our teachers that are getting. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
And we're going to have to build, like you said, we're gonna have to build that support in there before school starts. Part of like, as we're coming back.
And how do you plan to? I mean, you guys have some idea of how you.
Well, one thing, even just moving forward for the remainder of this year, the people from the company have offered, you know, they're concerned that we have concerns. They said, how can we help? We would like to, they're asking me right now, let's schedule a meeting with those teachers who don't have concerns. And then Dr. Margot from the county office has been really, really awesome, and she's available and willing and able to come out and co-teach, model teach, observe, give feedback to teachers. And so she's still available.
Well, how would she get support from lots of teachers participating in it too, so that she can get a better survey then?
Well, right.
Well,
My concern is that we have to go through Indian policies and procedures, and it seems like for site council, for all these plans, it's written in, you have to go through Indian policies and procedures. And as a member of IPP, they're not. And it's really frustrating. Why do we have IPP? Like you're not going to abide by.
it sounds like it was sent there and hasn't gone through, so.
No, it hasn't been gone through.
Yeah, so it was sent there, we need to figure out why it's
some kind of miscommunication.
Because there is something with all the site council, site plans.
I have two comments, Robert, our Kinney community member, the first comment is on the survey that you guys have in front of you. What is the date shown that the surveys were taken? The only reason I ask is because, since January 11, 2022, there has not been a K through 4 in Jack Norton. Still, as we see here today, there is no K through 4 in Jack Norton. Now, I mentioned it 2 times ago in Trinity Valley, 2 months ago, saying, you know, how do we advertise more? How do we get the word out more? How do we get a teacher at Jack Norton K through 4 yesterday? Because it's very unfortunate that there's not going to be for until we get it. So I'm asking you, what is the date of the survey there that?
March 17th.
2023.
Okay, so since January 11, 2022, there hasn't been a K through 4, so this isn't representation of that.
Yes, it is Rodney McKinnon Tyler.
The K through 4th grades.
No, but Donnie Dolph did.
But he does, he teaches 4 through 8.
He teaches
4 through 8,
4 through 8.
so K through
Yeah.
3rd needs a teacher.
And
since January.
we're working on getting one. We have a promise actually of having a teacher next year down there.
Wonderful news. And then the second thing is, this is the Indian policy and procedures president with a vice president, but she could get your contact and vice versa, so everything that you're saying went through.
Yeah, I
IPP.
sent it all to Erica Tracy. I couldn't be there because I had a state council meeting the exact same night.
I'm sorry,
So I
Karen,
gave
I'm
her all of
sorry,
the
if I could reiterate,
Yeah.
this is the president, this is the Indian policies and procedures.
So I need to
president.
send it to you and not Erica or both.
I would like it too, because I'm part of the IPP meetings. And I would definitely say, look, we looked at this information, but we didn't since January 11, 2022. So I just really appreciate the fact that, you know, we could say that all schools participated K through 3rd of this survey, but that's not the truth, because there was no teacher. There was no class kindergarten through 3rd grade since January 11, 2022.
I know what all those students were at Witchbeck and they would have participated there.
I believe some went to Hoopa as well, so the idea of saying, hey, instead of going 3 miles, they have to go.
I could try to, go to, you know.
Yeah, when do we have to, when does it need to be approved?
So, it needs to be purchased this year in order to be Williams compliant.
Oh,
This school year
Yeah,
versus
well, you're under here.
this school year.
Well, this one here, it says there, but you were all in compliance up here on, Williams Porter.
Yes, because we were doing a pilot.
That it was all okay. That's the.
I see what you're saying.
okay, so.
Transition. It's
Yeah, it is like this, so she's so.
I don't know, I can understand.
You are Indian education, right? I'm just concerned about our Indian education director. Should have, I mean, we should know what her input is on this, if she has seen it. Sounds like she's seen it, but there must have been a miscommunication actually on our IPP task force.
Can you give us?
Agenda, because I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were spring break. It's spring break, so we were, so I would.
meeting and.
Yeah, I would really feel more comfortable. I think it's important. Those are the rules. And IPP is real interested in these kind of things and how our Native children are working or not working. And
Okay, so let's just put it on hold then.
When is your next IPP meeting?
we just had one.
Because,
Most of us are
This is-
meeting on the 18th, cross your fingers.
okay, so if you guys are with your IPP,
If we can get together and, or you can send me the information.
Next Thursday at 5:30.
oh, okay.
I'm a little concerned when you talk about county coming out. The only time I've ever seen the county come out was for that trip to where. Thailand.
Taiwan.
Yeah, Taiwan, or wherever, that's the only time, and I was not happy because they were out there for this trip. And with all the issues that we have, we've never seen a county person out there concerned about where we are, you know? And then when she's saying that we can get support for county, how are we really gonna get support from the county? I know I don't like to be negative, but most of the time my negative is very positive because they don't come out. We don't get that support.
It depends on what you're doing, because when you do come out, when I was doing library stuff, they were very involved in, and so I think the educational support is pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, I'm pretty sure we pay for it, so, you know, there's a lot of other services, but they don't necessarily come from County Office of Education. County Office of Education is pretty supportive.
I'm really concerned about Hoopa Elementary because I think that there's no other way to say it, but we're the bastard of the district.
Well, I feel like that we need to put a big focus on it.
Mhm.
I have a question. Do you know what the turnaround time is in regards to this, if we wait until the middle of May?
I don't know.
What we're asking is we budgeted for this year,
Yeah,
the second interim to adopt, for the adoption. If we go into July, make sure that we are budgeted. in.
and what happens if we decide not to go with this? Then we would have to get something else or be non-Williams compliant. I don't know what the penalty is.
Because
for
what are
that.
you gonna buy if we don't do this one?
Yeah.
We don't have.
Well, it's a compliance issue.
I don't know, maybe then.
But it was because they don't-
I don't see the more.
they're gonna pay the penalty if we don't have something in place for them.
And getting that
But it's within the school year, so you're.
I'm ready.
We don't want them to be coming in this year, and school already started. We don't want the books starting in school.
But that's what's wrong with our district.
So, and that's been done, that will take whatever it's saying. I don't find that we do this.
That when we do curriculum, it goes through IPP. Okay, so we have it.
But you guys
So
remember.
what did Erica say to you? So, okay, so I can go back and look at my communications with her, but I sent her a report similar to what you're looking at there, but without the survey. And I let her know, and she said, I think he was very happy to know that the books would be ready for review. On that week of parent teacher conferences, they were out at all of the school sites, and there were surveys and rubrics and stuff for people to come and look at them there. So, and she said that that happened and that people knew about that.
And I can,
She has another one.
I
So
think,
I thought it had gone through, right?
I think too, I just looked at the primary book, and I think if we start our primary with this curriculum, it would be easier than I have a sophomore that's into a different math, and to change the kids in the high school, it would kind of stop them a little while, because they'd have to look at a whole different, way of learning them and what they're using,
One of the things that came from the top down was that we wanted a K-8 for that reason. We had 3 different math books. You were looking for something that would work for K-8.
Yeah,
And then the
because,
high school also uses Envision, so I was like, oh, well, that's what I.
yeah, because I myself, I get from 5 to 8 kids probably most of the time after school. And they talk about things, and when they get, they go into a new math. And my sophomore said, it took me a while, but I got it, and I got it, and but a lot of the kids are not getting it. And so this is what I'm concerned about, if we bring a new curriculum into, say, freshman, up to maybe a sophomore, then how is that gonna affect their, how they're gonna get into the new kind of curriculum.
Okay.
It will be confusing.
I was thinking, and I know with for our task force people here, we can approve this curriculum, purchase of this curriculum, approval of the IPP task force at their next meeting. Then we can go ahead with purchasing and the ordering of April versus waiting until our next meeting, Does that,
Well, that only answers one question for me, is that the Indian Policy and Procedure Task Force, we're only an advisory committee. And if you're saying this already, then it's a done deal, regardless if we like it or not. We can,
based on.
If you don't
get
approve
IPP
it.
task force approval, but we don't approve it at that level, then it's back to the drawing.
okay.
Because that's what the motion says. So we'll have to have an approval by the task force.
First.
Okay, then we can do that. But I still think no matter how it goes, if we, we're gonna probably have to approve it. And whatever.
I can feel.
Yeah.
Well, I think,
financially,
but I think we have to pay.
We have to
attention.
watch it.
We have to pay attention to it. It's like,
For a new program.
Yeah.
yeah, I would like to have seen a little bit more
And we-
here too, but it has it today.
When we allow people. to-
Then we really need a lot of help to make sure.
It's the same as. Okay, I make the motion that we approve the Envision Mathematics Common Core published curriculum. $881.88 upon IPP task force approval.
Second. All in favor? So I have a suggestion.
Well, if you don't mind, if we could make sure Dana is that into the minutes for the next meeting back. I appreciate it. In addition to this announcement.
Do you all make the announcement? Okay. I'm not supposed to read that part of that. Okay. All here with President listening online are encouraged to attend next Thursday's IPP, new policies and procedures meeting at the district office at 5:30 p.m. There's probably going to be snacks.
Thursday?
Well, if you please back in 4/20, April 20th, 5:30, district office and online. Please contact.
Erica.
Yeah, Erica.
Email Erica for that.
And Dana.
Dana has it too.
Yes.
Thank you all. I hope you guys are able to attend because you could see what the improvement of the Climate Unified School District happened at these meetings, and the really encouraging thing to see people come together and work collaboratively. I know all the administrators from Captain John to Trinity Valley, Jack Norton, Witch Tech School, Ms. Karen, they should be all on this CC email to the Indian policies and procedures. So just like we have the town hall meeting before each and every one of these wonderful board meetings that you guys attend, everybody that's an administrator in the KTJUSD encouraged to go to these as well. I know it's just another meeting, but very powerful and very empowering for you guys to attend. Thank you.
The task force was created for a reason. Because things were happening in our district without Indian parents. Having the knowledge. Things were happening in our district that affected our students.
Okay. 11D. I want to send somebody. 2024 school year. I think I have. Oh, that is not here.
Is that in a motion? Are we voting on this or we're taking?
We're going to take the public comment.
So, thank you for your endurance and being here. Having done loan for a high school teacher to give feedback, I feel that I'm not in an official capacity, but I do have other voices behind me with what I'm going to show you today, including from the students. This issue came up from them. This is part of my warm-up in classes. We discuss things and usually put some sort of social science standard out of it by the end of the 5 minutes. So the backpacks, everyone really appreciates the focus on school safety, staff safety that we've been seeing this year. The plastic backpacks thing, the way it came out was sort of like a rumor mill situation, and immediately the kids' backs were up on the scene. I can understand that as well. When we're looking at school safety, well, one of the kids said this way, we've already got the gate, and now we're going to get searched in a way of, well, we're not searching the gate and see anything. And they said this is like prison. And that was kind of the beginning of this discussion. But if we're looking at it from, I'd say, well, let's look at it from just a tactical situation. Let's think about this, drill down on the problem and see what we're looking at. Backpacks, unless you're going to search somebody's person, you can move a lot of product, you can bring in a lot of weapons under a hoodie. So there's also the athletic bags, baseball, softball, they've got lawn bags. You put full, long arm with a few clips in them. Those are trends. Also immediately for high school, where this might have been something that could have been workable for elementary schools, for like one classroom with one or maybe two textbooks. Our students were able to carry 30 pounds, and they're going to multiple classrooms. So their bags would be tearing apart really fast. And we understood the deal or the policy of the district made the first one. Put over replacements would be on the parents and families to replace damaged or lost backpacks at each one. So high school families would be facing a higher financial burden or something that probably wasn't designed to carry 30, 35 pounds of textbooks. Then there's the other side of like, well, what about female hygiene products? If somebody has their transmitted backpack, is that to be on display as well? And if that is on display, that's a gross violation of somebody's privacy. If there's such a way for it not to be on display, then if you can hide a tampon, you can hide a vape pen. If you're hiding tabs, you can hide a small firearm. So there's a lot of workability problems with this, and the goal really isn't the problem. There's just the fact that it's difficult enough to keep the campus closed. If we knew what kids had in their bags, they can walk to their car without being off campus. Or when they came back on campus to get suspended, but now they aren't. So the problem of this, the tactical side of this is it's really, I don't see that it would really make a lot of safety distance. But in the spirit of agreeing with this very worthy goal to be looking at, I would put some suggestions to you. I would suggest that we could have a clock right here on one of these desks and chairs in front of me. And nobody's getting hurt. Nobody wants to hurt anybody. It's the motivation to hurt somebody that comes first. Then there's looking for the means to do it next. If we had a trial dysregulated to the point, and by the way, the ideation of the school shooting is not homicide, it's suicide. So if we've got a student who's in that emotional mindset, and they've been triggered to that last point where they're making plans. A pen is a good weapon. We have 5-pound rocks, a big pile of them from construction right outside the first wing. Next one's desk, you could just strangle some. My students in my room already are, and that's how I treat them. And that's not from a place of fear, it's a place of reality. I mean, if you wanted to look at the other side, so am I. So then we need to have a relationship with each other where the thought of violence never happened. In 2010, I had the opportunity to spend a month in China studying their education system. And they had gates and bars, and they were installing roll down windows. They have a complete gun control society. What they were having was people bringing in knives, machetes, and hammers. The weapon, people will say, this is kind of the heart of the gun control issue, I think. The weapon isn't the problem, it's the person who's using it. But certain weapons make it really easy to do things when you have that motivation to make them much worse. But I'd say really the problem is the relationship. And that's where trauma-informed training comes in. This is why I've been so great at trauma-informed training, where I was on an average writing 12 to 14 officer behavior as a student my first 6 years. I don't even know what the forms are. The first year that I adopted all of the trauma-informed techniques of demonstrating mold abatement, the school year was kind of trashed anyway, so it's like, all right, let's be experimental. Let's just put them all in, plug them all in and see what happens. 4 referrals got there. 2 the year after that, none after that, 3 the next year, but they were all in the hallway, not in my classroom. So if we're looking at a situation, this would be the same thing for drugs. Let's look at the motivations. I would hope that, a gram of crack cocaine sitting in the middle of the table will not be touched by anybody here because there's no motivation to do it. And that's where we really get to the school stage and the heart of school stage. Is not to take somebody you don't know, who's an impulsive adolescent, and tell them, I don't know you, but I don't trust you, so I'm going to look at your stuff. That's putting a relationship on a bad foot. The teachers in the classroom are going to have to repair that every morning. Every time they open up that decided that I'm just going to carry my books everywhere and they're struggling with this big mess. That's a violation of the safety for them, really. that they weren't trusted. And that's a really clear way to show that you don't deserve to be trusted either. So I would ask the board to really consider this. I'm very interested in the idea of minimizing the risk of school shootings. I sit there in the rooms without, incommunicado during lockdowns. Right? So I'm not treating this as a light, subject at all. I think you would achieve a lot more putting our resources towards social emotional support, spreading trauma-informed training. We had a wave of it. Half of our staff wasn't here at that time. We could use that again. And then the proof is kind of in the pudding. It's difficult to say like how's this affected academics because, like I said, I implemented that in the whole year, and then we came back to the classroom. Like, oh good, I've got a face here, and then we went into COVID. So it's been difficult to connect that to like, well, what's it doing to the grades? But I can tell you this classroom culture and school climate. From training has been a really useful thing, really incredibly powerful. Having a wellness center, it's been such an incredibly powerful. Those are the things that they could keep in the stadium. Then any amount of metal detectors or other, I don't know, drones, whatever you want to do to kind of militarize or target. They're going to inflame people who are already feeling disaffected from whatever's going on in their house. So please consider that when you're taking this issue up.
Okay.
Do I have a motion? Yes, do with the motion. We don't have to make a motion. We don't have to make a motion to vote it down or to make a vote or what. Is that we change motion at all? So we don't need to make a motion. Gina really relaxed.
Was a parent here earlier and she, her family, but her concern was, she said that we are like transitioning our kids to a prison atmosphere. And I know that's something that is talked about on the workshops I went through with ACLU. They talked about how schools are becoming more, the fences are higher. And I understand there are a lot of things going on in our world, and we are lucky every day. But I think, as we've done on this side, other things we can do.
This item just died here.
Yeah, that's what we were discussing.
I mean, we're not downplaying the safety issue. We realize, we have safety.
This is
Is
not.
our number of people that I don't know that. Because it is thing.
And I did a lot of calls. I called different schools. I called around different people that deal with students, and I didn't get one single person who advocated for clear backpacks. Everyone I've talked to.
What she also did that I interested, it kind of wrong with me was that she looked, the research that she did was for looking for positive feedback from not just schools in the United States, but schools in other countries. So she couldn't find where clear backpacks made a difference.
I just couldn't find anything like that.
Well, I'm glad that you guys did this.
Okay.
Because I think that we didn't need those, because I talked to several kids in high school, and they said, we're not gonna carry it. We're gonna take our own backpack. And that's what they said, and then, what came to my attention was with our attendance, we have to be friendly to our students to have them want to go to school. You can't just keep.
Taking things away from them
Yeah.
because of our faults.
Yeah.
Because we can't get it.
Because, too many times we look beyond the best interests of our kids.
Okay.
E, approval of ACES summer school program. July 5th through August 5th, 2023, estimated cost $80,000. And the comments ACES summer school program,
For using ACES funded, yes. With opportunities for.
yes. Do we have a motion?
We already have it set out, but how many teachers we need and.
I don't think so. I think we're
Yes, no, there's a plan already in place for the.
Oh, it's planned.
Approval to move forward.
Have all of our employees who are in town.
We will have all of our employees.
Make a motion, yeah.
And how many- does that mean, how many students are there going to consider?
60.
60. How do you pick those 60?
So this is all our plans.
I make the motion, but I didn't know there was only gonna be 60.
And
Is that,
but there will be guidelines for it, so it should be first come, first served, it
Well,
should be
then-
who needs it.
And I think it may be,
She just said first come, first served.
it's not, it's
That put the. That's the plan.
what
It's
did
the
you
same
say?
plan that was used last year, that ran, you ran the summer school program. It's the same summer school program,
it's just a move out.
yes. But it takes students from every.
Yeah, they come from everywhere. It was a very successful program last summer. I witnessed it every day. And it
All
was
the
very,
different schools could-
yeah, and she didn't have like a waiting list or anything like that, so the.
And
Pretty much,
was
yeah, she was every day. Attendance was well attended too. There was a lot of babies in that program over the summer.
It's a good program.
It's one of the most successful.
Right, well.
Okay,
I got a motion, I make a motion, let me try it.
all in favor? Opposed? Position. Everybody agreed that we do not have to make a motion to adjourn the meeting, we can just adjourn.
Oh, I don't want to make it an.
Wait a minute.
Wait, Pages looked where they listened into our conversation. In the cell, and he just wanted everyone, he said, we need those teachers that piloted program to the curriculum to present at both, you know, at like tonight, team level, with a couple maybe, and if there's anywhere where we need that they can talk about it. If he said $190,000 investment, he might be certain. So. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.